Excellent, excellent. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so glad that we're here today. We have an incredible show for you tonight. And it's 9 at Night, and every weekday night from Monday through Friday, where it's all about the drive, all about the talent, all about the business, all about the finance, and all about the fun. And so tonight is Wednesday night. It's all about the talent, and we have an incredible talent that we're going to talk to you about. But right now we have a professional introduction for him and the person that introduced me right after this. All right. So what we're going to do is I want to go ahead and start us off by talking about this incredible gentleman. He is the one who introduced us to our main artist tonight. And we've had music artists. We've had all kinds of artists from more in the music side of things. But this gentleman has touched people's hearts all around the world. And that is with his talented work in painting as a master painting. But first, I want to talk about Rick Trulson. He's having a little bit of technical difficulty in getting on the show tonight. But Rick has his own studio in Southeast Idaho. It's a recording studio. He plays 12 different instruments. And he's been doing this for a very long time. He's been a band member for a couple of, or a few very well-known people around the world, one of them being Tommy Overstreet. And so he's just absolutely excellent, knows a ton of wonderful people. So here's just a little recording of one of the songs he wrote. That Star Recording Studio, and it's Richard Alvin Trulson is his name that you can see on YouTube and many platforms, as well as Facebook and many other music places. So right now I'm excited to go to our featured guest, and this gentleman definitely has made a fabulous difference when it comes to painting. As you can see right here, his name is Jess, and Jess, I can't wait to have everybody meet you. You're absolutely a dream because I love painting too. I want to learn how to do it better, but you are known around the world. You have people that buy your incredible paintings. How did you start all of this?
You know, I can't remember a time when I didn't do art. Even when I can remember first grade, if I didn't have 4 or 5 of my pictures up on the wall in the classroom, I thought I was a total failure, you know. I've done art my whole life. I had the only training I really had, I would say, would be a high school art teacher. And she really pushed me to keep going. And when I got out of the army, or got out of the high school, I went right into the Army, and I ended up doing art for the Army for quite a while. I say I only went to 2 foreign countries. I went to Germany and Alabama, and they were both so foreign to me from Idaho. I mean, it was a long ways. I got over there and I did a lot of artwork for the Army for quite a few years there. And when I came back, I wanted to go to advertising art school. And at the time I lived in Nampa, so I went into Boise and went to Boise State College there, and to get into commercial art, I had to take every kind of course except art. I got one class that was beginning art 01, you know, And I mean, it was starting basic, and I'd been doing art for a long time. And I went to school for 3 weeks, and that was long enough to meet Cheryl, who I married, and we're going to have 53 years this year. So
That's
I
awesome.
guess that 3 weeks was worthwhile.
That is very worth it.
But I got out of there, and I went to work doing all kinds of construction, and I worked at the sugar beet factory, and I sold shoes at Kinney's Shoes, and I mean, I did everything but art. I got into the drywall business and was working 50 stories up in the air doing drywall inside of elevator shafts and all. I mean, it was a lot of hard work. But even in that, when I was doing the inside of the elevator shafts, I was drawing cartoons and things on the inside of it. So if somebody ever tears it down, there's going to be a lot of archive art
There you go.
inside of the
That's
elevator shaft.
funny. That is,
Yeah, but we worked and saved all of our money. We started with nothing. I mean, we got married. We had $400 between us, and so I mean, we were sleeping on the floor. We were eating fried potatoes every day. That was the meal.
you
And
guys are troopers. 53 years of that is awesome.
yeah, we would go down on the docks and fish for fish. And if we caught fish, we had fish and fried potatoes. Otherwise, we had fried potatoes.
Wow.
But
What a
whenever
story.
things started kind of dying in Seattle where we were living, and it was because of Boeing. They kind of controlled everything at that point, and
Mhm.
Boeing was going downhill. When they did, it stopped all the construction, everything, because it kind of was the main control thing for all the economy up there. So
Mhm.
we came down to Portland area, and Cheryl had family that were friends with people who had moved down in this area.
Mhm.
So they offered us a place to stay, and so I took our funds and I went into commercial art school.
Oh, wow.
I was driving into Portland every day. It was a 100-mile round trip every day to go to school. And I ended up being the student body president. It lasted for 2 years, and I had straight A's for 2 solid years. But I'd had a lot of experience beforehand, and so many of those kids that were in there, they were just getting started.
Mhm.
But when I got out, I thought I was ready to whip the world. I was going to be a commercial artist. Man, oh man. And the first job offer I had, I was called by Fred Myers, who has a lot of chain of stores, and they wanted me to go to work for them in their art department. So I took a big portfolio full of a lot of my work, and I went in there, and I laid it down. And I said, I'll get out some of my work for you. And he said, oh, I don't want to see that stuff. We'll have our artwork done by professionals.
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh
I
my
said,
gosh.
what? I thought that's what you hired me for. No, they wanted me to do paste up on their food ads.
Oh, that's gross.
And I said, well,
Wrong.
I thought to myself, maybe I could get a job here and that, and I could tell people I work in the art department here while I'm looking for another job. And I said, well, what does it pay? And he said, it pays $4.25 an hour. And I said, I wouldn't watch TV for $4.25 an hour. I quit a job that was making $6.50 an hour. And at the time, that was a pretty good wage. I wasn't going to do that. So I went home and I went to work for myself for 50 cents an hour. And Cheryl was working, and it worked its way around to where I did some artwork for some people in the CB radio business. CB was real big in the early 70s. And they have like a postcard that they call a QSL card that people would have their name and call numbers and address and that kind of thing on it. And whenever they would talk to somebody over the airwaves or they would meet them, they would give them a card. And that was kind of a confirmation that they had spoken. And I started doing that, and I got people calling in from here, calling in from there, calling in from here. And it started growing like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, wow.
And I was in a back bedroom, and it got so big that, I mean, I couldn't do anything without having people around me. I would wake up in the morning, there'd be 4 motorhomes parked in my driveway.
Oh my gosh.
From all over the place. I had business, and it ended up, I had business in every state of the United States, all the provinces of Canada, Norway, Sweden, Holland, New Zealand, Bermuda, West Germany, Belgium, Mexico. I mean, it was all over the place. I had all this business coming in. these cards, we ended up being the biggest in the world with it. We were printing 160,000 cards every 10 days.
Oh, my heavens.
And it was all commercially done.
Congratulations. That is, I bet your wife was happy.
Yeah, they were, she had to quit work. She had to go to work for me,
Mhm.
The CBers had handles like Wolf and Red Riding Hood or whatever. Cheryl and I became Running Bear and Little White Dove.
I was I was Coyote Kid.
Yeah.
That's what I understand.
We were so well known. They were throwing breaks, CB jamborees they were called, all over the country, and we were the guests of honor. And there were so many times where we would drive into the entrance to it, and maybe be at a state fairgrounds or something,
Mhm.
and there would be 20,000 people there to see us.
Oh, my
We
heavens.
would be an hour trying to get out of our car, signing autograph books and stuff like that. I thought,
Wow.
boy, on a small scale like we were compared to somebody that's big in the business, they've got to just hate that after a while. They would have a dance. We'd be dancing, and everybody'd be dancing up next to us, telling me ideas they had for another new card. I mean, it was just, we got to the point where there was I ended up having 7 full-time people working for me, but
Oh, my
every one of the cards was custom illustrated for that person.
Oh,
And,
okay.
So we were working in there doing pen and ink drawings 10, 11 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So the other 7, they were artists as well.
They were artists, and we had to break them down in 4 color. They were all done in full color. And in those days, it wasn't like you send them in here and the computer does everything. There was no computers. We had to break them down in 4 color breaks, which we did it in 6 colors because they used screens on some of them.
Mhm.
And it was all done in 4 color process printing. So I
Wow.
had 2 people also doing that. A full-time secretary, because we had kids by then, and so Cheryl was staying home a lot more with the kids. But at the early part, we had the kids right down there at the office with us too.
Very good.
It was just it got to be so big, and it got where we didn't have any time for ourselves.
Mhm.
It just got like that, and you get where I was raised so poor. We had nothing. I mean, our house was like 750 square feet, and there was 6 kids.
Oh, my heavens.
So you can imagine we all slept in a little 8 by 10 bedroom, all kids, and there was a washing machine in there too. It's just my junior and senior year, I slept in the barn. I went down and made me a bedroom in the barn because I needed a place for me,
Yeah.
and me and the dog slept in that.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was about 50 feet from the railroad tracks that went through there. And there was about
Oh, dear.
10 rows of tracks, and all night long trains were going through. And to this day, to me, that's like running water in a creek. I love the sound of a train at night, but we had nothing. And so now with all this fame and fortune coming in, was getting all these things,
Mhm.
Here we started with $400. The time I was 30 years old, we had 8 rental houses.
Oh,
And we had
wow.
our big house on the hill. We had a motorhome. We had 2 cars. We had a boat. We couldn't get enough stuff, just couldn't get enough stuff. And I'd been down and I was teaching nights besides doing the artwork. I was teaching for the community college, teaching painting and stuff.
Mhm.
And a friend of mine was a gemstone importer, and he talked me into going to work for him, doing some importing of gemstones and selling to the jewelry stores. I'm doing all of this.
Mhm.
So I'd been down in California, and I was gone for like a week, and I came back, and Cheryl and I had started butting heads a little bit, and we'd never butted heads. We just don't. We get along good. And I told her, I says, let's just get the kids, put them in the motorhome. Let's go to the coast. Let everything just air out, and we get this back to normal again, and see if we can't start from scratch.
Yeah,
So we did that. We dropped in on friends and so on. And on that trip, it was along Devil's Lake, and my daughter and the kids was out there all playing, and she fell in the water and drowned.
Oh,
And
no.
it killed me. It
Oh,
killed me.
no.
And we pulled it out of the water. It still bothers me. So,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
we pulled her out of the water, and I was giving her mouth to mouth, and I was trying my damnedest to do it. And we got her in a hospital, and she lasted 21 hours. They flew her into Portland. And whenever she died, I didn't have anything left in the year.
No, I could only.
I went 5 years and I never picked up a pencil. Never.
Wow.
I was just lost.
Mhm.
And you can tell it still bothers me.
Yeah.
But anyway, after 5 years, I got to, I was really in a hole and I wanted to paint. So I sat out there and opened up and put a big painting out. And I stayed in that studio until I was done. And it was a big seascape, which my son still has.
Wow.
And it just got me back to feeling better about it again. So, you know, art kind of saved me, I guess you might say. There's nothing harder than losing a child. And we knew what it was like to go through. So we would read the paper and we would see where someone had lost a child. I don't care where they were in the state. In 3 weeks, all of your friends disappear. Everybody goes away because it didn't affect their life.
Mhm.
And it wasn't the same thing. And it's not that they don't love you anymore. It's not that they don't care. They don't know what to say to you. They just don't know what to say. And I've had people, I would see them coming down the sidewalk and I was walking and they'd see me and I knew they saw me and they'd cross the street so they didn't have to say
Oh.
anything to me.
That must have been hurtful. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I you can't hold it against them because I understand that their life goes on, you know, your life doesn't, but theirs does. So we would wait 3 weeks and then we would call on those people. And we worked with 26 different families that had lost their kids. And in a way, it helps with your healing,
Mhm.
but in a way, it opens all your wounds all back up again. You know,
Oh,
it's just,
dear.
that's the way it works.
Mhm.
But you know something, I wouldn't change one of those times at all.
Well,
But
that was like really giving back though to help them because you didn't receive it. That's way cool.
until you've been through it, you have no idea what they're going through.
Yeah.
And I could write a book on what you don't say to people who've lost a child.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Don't tell me
Me too.
she's in a better place. I
Mm.
want to punch your lights out, you know? You can always have another one.
Now,
Oh,
what I want to do is, it's an incredible story of just survival, literally. So what I want to do is be able to start showing your incredible work. This stuff is beautiful. Look at that. Fine work. So I don't have the pictures in a particular order, but I have the ones that I like the best first. But I'm going to turn it over to you to absolutely share about each painting, if that's okay.
yeah, this painting right here that's up is a big tiger that I painted. And the reason I painted that, I taught inmates for over 30 years off and on, federal and state prisons. Some of my best years ever for teaching. Whenever you go into a prison, you do not have respect. You have to earn respect. And so I wanted to get their respect. I told them right off the bat, I started off my spiel like this. I said, you guys shut the door back there. So it's just me and them. I said, I did not get you in here. I can't get you out of here. I have a certain amount of rules that I have to follow and I'll bend every one of them. So we got a coolest class ever. If you're in here to get out of a job, I want you to get out of your seat and get out of my class right now. I don't want you in here. If you want to learn art, I will teach you everything I know. I will start you at the bottom. I will teach you everything I know. Number one rule, don't you ever treat me like staff, and I'll never ever treat you like an inmate.
Oh, wow. That's
And they said,
cool. Yeah.
all right.
I can't wait. I have most of your paintings first, and then I have some of the inmates that you sent me after yours. I can't wait to show those because they're just phenomenal. When you did this tiger, how long did it take you to do this?
I spent a week in there and I painted this in front of all the inmates so they could watch me do it.
So that's why, oh, it is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, when you see their paintings, this is something that you'll see, and it's all about the brush stroke. Is that correct?
Yeah, and you know, none of these people that were in my class had ever had any art, had none. And most of them had no family life whatsoever. So I did not teach just art. I tried my best to be a mentor to them also. And all the years that I was in there, I was in with some really heavy duty people.
Wow.
We figured it up one time down in Vacaville prison. My class alone had murdered 38 people.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we're talking about real high-end, tough guys. And you know something? My son learned how to walk between those guys' fingers.
Oh my gosh.
And my wife was in there with me at a bunch of the times. And I mean, there was some really tough guys, and they would just give her the biggest hugs. And I got letters from all these guys all the time. There's so many of them, like I say, I would never try to get them out. They don't need to be out. But while they're in there, they're just people. They are just people. And
Wow.
I only treated them like students. I would never, ever treat them like an inmate. I don't care what they did, except one guy. One guy wanted in my class, and I would not, I didn't want to let somebody in that was going to ruin the class. And that was Charlie Manson. And
Oh my heavens.
he wanted in the class, and I said, well, I want to see some of your work first. So we go up to his cell and he shows me this stuff. It's all this blood and gore, people, their throats cut, all this kind of. And I said, Charlie, you ain't doing that crap in my class. And he said, I'll paint anything I want to. And I said, you won't do it in my class. We're going to do stuff that mom wants to hang on the wall. He says, you ain't telling me what to do. And I said, you're not in the class. I couldn't stand him from the start anyway, but whenever there would be an opening in the class, let's say 20, 23 or 24 students, that's all the room we had, but there would be an opening for another person. I wouldn't just let the next person on the list come in. I would bring the next 3 or 4 names in, and I would say, which of these people is going to be the good one to bring in here? And I would let them pick that person because they know who the bad apples are.
Very good.
So,
you did the right thing. Oh, wow.
it worked really good.
Wow. Now, when you say it took you a week to do this, how were you there all day, every day? What hours to do this?
I only got the guys in there. I had 2 different classes, and they were 2 hours apiece. That's all we got. And they were right on top. I'm telling you, I became a famous guy inside the prison. And I had I did this in a federal prison. In the federal prison, you're only allowed to move between buildings once an hour, and you got like 15 minutes to move. And if you get caught outside, they lock the doors. You go to the hole. It's just that simple. It's not an easy place. If you run out of paint, you have to go through their store. And like if I ran out of white paint, sometimes it'd take them a month to get a white paint in for them. How do you paint without white paint?
Wow.
So it was not easy for them.
Or
and
for you.
yeah, and they also had a lot of staff who they didn't care about those inmates at all, and I understand that's their job. But, like I brought supplies in a month early for a drawing class because they wouldn't let me have any thinner in there to paint. So I started everybody drawing. And I brought them in a month early, and they didn't have the time to pull it out of the warehouse until a month after the class started. So every day I was taking paper and pencils and erasers and everything in there out of my own house here, just so we had something to draw on.
Oh my, look at you. I mean, I'm sorry I had to go through all that, but you did such greatness, and we'll see that in a minute. Now I'm curious, this tiger looks like it's absolutely real. You got it's furry. I mean, it feels like and looks like it's so real. So
yeah, I've sold so many prints of this, and something, I'll bet you, I had to leave it out in there because all the inmates wanted to see it because the word went around. And I had it left in there for 2 solid weeks before all the inmates were done looking at it.
Now, I mean, yeah, it's a classic. Are you kidding? This is beautiful. We have some more here that this other one I absolutely, now here's at your studio or where you have some of yours in here.
Yeah, that's just a few of them.
Oh, yeah, you have done so many, but to get a closer look at them, this is what gets me. Ooh, this is so, I could feel their skin. This is so lifelike. How
Yeah,
long?
I hugged a 2,500-pound rhino around the neck. I've had a lot of hands-on with animals, and I like animals better than most people. It's sad to say that, but um, I
Well, I
have
do
found
too. So
I've never found a dog I couldn't make a friend with. They'd say that dog will eat you alive, and in 20 minutes he's laying on my lap, you know.
well,
Um, I've
I,
had I've had cheetahs walking between my legs. I've had mountain lion laying on my lap. I've had big bobcats standing up on both of my shoulders at the same time, you know. And I've had lots of hands-on with animals. Whenever I have that kind of a thing, it really gives me full heart to go in and really do it the right way, you know.
Mhm.
To me, I don't care how long it takes. It's
So a
the
lot
end
of
product
artists,
is,
yeah, a lot of artists will just get the picture, but you do the whole thing where you meet them, you hug them, you feel in touch, and so I mean that's why they look so lifelike.
yeah,
Really,
you have to feel your painting. You really do. It's not just you sit down with a picture and you copy that picture over. If you don't have your heart in it, it shows.
yeah, this is absolutely gorgeous. Now these two, um, they're horses, but on the zebra, where were you at when you saw the zebra?
We were in Kenya, and we spent 3 weeks over there on safari, and I bet I saw, I'm going to underestimate and say 5,000 zebras, at least 5,000 zebras. Uh,
Wow.
my son and daughter went over there with us too, and whenever we came back, we figured it up, and between he and I, we had 15,000 digital photos.
Wow. I mean, that I believe it. That's just gorgeous. This is absolutely gorgeous. And
Now
then you
these wild horses here, now they were these pictures. This picture was shot in northern Utah. I have a whole lot of really fine photographers that share their whole portfolios with me.
oh, very good.
So it's just been wonderful. So many photographers, they say, oh, if you want to use my reference material, it's going to cost you $100, or it's going to cost you. I've got a whole lot of them that shoot incredible stuff that say, man, you just tell me what you want and it's yours. One guy sent me a chip, just a little speed drive, you know, you put
Mhm.
in your computer. It had 52,000 pictures on it. He said, go through this here and pick out what you want and send it back to me.
Well, when you make it a painting and a print, I mean, it makes them,
Yeah, if you don't, in this kind of painting, if you don't have really good reference material, um, give up. You know,
yeah.
you can't make that stuff up. You got to have something to go
Now,
by.
I have a little random question. Okay, so you have your name signed at the bottom. When you first started doing a painting, knowing you were going to sign your name, did you like practice on how you wanted it to look? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, and even I had Tommy Overstreet over here painting, and I mentored him through a painting that he did for a function down in Texas that he donated it. And I even worked out a logo for him so he could paint it just right on his painting.
very, yeah, I think of those because I thought when I was in art school, way back when, I thought I would play with my signature. So
Yeah.
I think everyone does it. Okay, we're gonna go, we got a lot of paintings here. So let's go through these and give us a little bit of story on each
Yeah,
one.
the wood ducks here, another photographer that shot this. This was actually, the ducks came out of two different photos, and I just put everything together with the old log. The old log was sitting out here in my backyard. So just kind of made that thing up. But he's stretching his wings. He's feeling good, you know, and that's his lady over there. So I love the wood ducks. They're such a beautiful duck.
Yeah, we have some ducks, not quite like those colors, but they could be out there. No, mallards, but I love your moss. Your moss just looks real too. So I love
Well,
these colors.
we have so much moss here that I have lots of it to look at.
Excellent. Now let's talk about this. Look at all those rocks. Oh my
Yeah,
heaven.
I would, river banks here look just like that, and we've got bald eagles around here that fly over the house. I worry about them, because I have a dog that could be easily taken by an eagle.
Mm.
You know, that's the only thing. But I've been to Alaska so many times. I married an Alaska girl, and I saw one tree that must have had 100 bald eagles in one tree.
Uh-huh.
So I've seen
Wow.
lots of bald eagles. This painting here sold right away. It sold right away. It's 40 inches wide, so, or 48 inches wide.
Now
So
that's
it's a
huge.
pretty good sized painting.
You have a couple of really, now this is, where is this at?
That is in New Zealand. And whenever on our 50th anniversary, we went to New Zealand for 3 weeks. And the ocean over there is just incredible. And this is an area where we went in and went diving with the dolphins. The wild dolphins, we went out in wetsuits and got in the middle of probably 1,000 dolphins that were within arm's length of us so much of the time.
How
And
cool.
when I came back, I met with the #1 artist, as far as I'm concerned, in all of New Zealand, and that's Andrew Tischler. And we became fast friends. And I mean, I think of him like a son over there. And he's a master painter at 39 years old. He's a master painter.
Wow.
And when I came back, I wanted to challenge myself a little more. So I went, after 40 years, I went in and bought a set of acrylics. And
Mhm.
I had not used acrylics in 40 years. They handle so totally different than oils. And this was the first seascape I ever did with acrylics.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was really quite different. Now, I taught seascape painting for a long time here, and I made so many seascape painters because I live on the Oregon coast.
Mhm.
I made so many seascape painters that after a while you couldn't give a seascape away because everybody was a painter.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of backed off of those, but every time I go to the coast, I still want to paint the ocean all over again. It's just, it sucks me in like you can't believe.
I just try to think how you paint that, because those rocks literally look like they're under the water with just that little skiff of froth on the top. But oh my heavens, that's beautiful. Now, what about these two? Where are these at?
This old barn, yeah, this old barn over here is not very far from my house. And these
Okay.
birds, these kestrels, I built nest boxes out here on my barn, and I've had babies out of both of them every year, and I've been within 5 feet of the babies whenever they first fledge. These guys are so incredibly beautiful, and every time you look at them, they got a mouse hanging off their feet. You see them up on the wires all the time, and they got a mouse hanging out of their foot. That's the best mouser in the world right there.
There you go. Oh, wow, that's awesome. What about the cat?
The cougar, a friend of mine up in Canada shot the picture, and I painted a small one first, and I liked it a lot. So I went in and painted the bigger one. And now Washington State Cougars, are over in Pullman.
Mhm.
That resides over there in Pullman now. So he's a Washington State Cougar now. I,
Very
I, I truly enjoyed painting that painting just about as much as any painting I've ever done. I really liked that one.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It's so realistic too. I just love your paintings. What about these barn owls?
I had another friend up in Canada, a different one again, who run into the owls, and I changed a lot of the color and things to fit my needs. But these snowy owls, I put this picture together, and it sold in about 15 minutes after I put it out on my art email, and it actually lives over in Idaho now.
Well,
But the snowy owls to me are so beautiful, and there's so many different variations of that. Why they think they're all the same. You look at those three, and you can see all three of them are colored different, different ages, different times. I probably enjoyed doing that painting about as much as any painting I've ever done.
well, it's absolutely beautiful. I really love the color you did with the backdrop. It's just
Yeah, I
rich.
wanted something that would make them just pop
Yeah,
off of there. That contrast that makes that pop, and those warm colors. To me, any house could fit that, I think.
yeah, you did an excellent job. This is a favorite. I mean, all of them are my favorites now, but let's talk about this.
Well, I wanted to paint a long painting, and this is it's like 12 by 48. It's a
Wow.
long big painting, and I did my eagle in there, and I had a completely different sky, and I did my mountain range, and I never was happy with it, and I kept going over it and over it and over it, and I just wasn't happy. So I sent it back against the wall, and it stayed there for about a month. And then I kind of had this spot, and I went in and I painted this sky like this, and I put it out there, and it sold the first morning. It now lives in New Mexico.
Wow. I mean, it's cool that you know where your paintings are, and it's just beautiful how you spread the cheer pretty much with your incredible
Well,
talent.
you know, I had a lot of problem with galleries. We had some real bad stories with galleries, and you know, like one of them sold my painting and then they closed the doors and I never got paid for it. Another one had me, they ask all kinds of just incredible things from you. I mean, an artist funds everything. Everything, and they give them to them for free. And whenever they sell them, they take half.
Oh
They take half
dear.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing something that's working, obviously. You don't need the galleries.
Yeah. So anyway, for about 10 years, I'll be real honest, Christine, for about 10 years, I didn't even try to sell them. But I couldn't stop painting. So I just kept painting and stacking them up in my studio. I became my biggest collector. And after a while, I had so many paintings in there that I got busy and I got on Instagram. I got a new website, and I think the website is just beautiful.
It is.
I
Absolutely.
got my email list out. I started getting with people. I started teaching pretty much. I think I showed you a bunch of the step photos where I showed where I go from a pencil all the way down through to the end.
Yes, I like that a lot.
And with that, last year was the biggest year I ever had in my life. Now I got my first set of oils when I was 11 years old. So this year I've been painting 64 years.
Oh my heavens, that is incredible. Well, it shows.
And that was my biggest year. Was after 63 years, you get your biggest year.
Very good, very good. Where was that's an elk, right?
Yeah, these elk are all over around here in Oregon. We have a lot of them here. And I've run upon these guys so many times. I've painted them quite a number of times. I've had them where I walked up on them and they'll let me take 15, 20 photos before they walk away. I love to shoot my own pictures. That's the best yet. So this is what Oregon looks like, so much of it.
That's
And
beautiful.
he's on full alert. I wanted people to see that he's just out there on full alert. And that's one of my favorite paintings for the color values in it.
Yeah, and it's very warm. I was going to compliment it. It's very warm.
That one's still hanging here in my studio.
Wow.
The horses are sold.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, it's just gorgeous. Now we're going into the artwork, and I couldn't do them all. I was putting these on pretty quick. So they're just portions of the artwork, but these are from your inmates.
Yeah, this one here was his first painting in his life.
Oh my heavens, look at that.
What I did when I started teaching these guys, I'll tell you a little story. I started them strictly doing nothing but drawing. And we drew every single day, every day for 6 months. And whenever I would leave for the weekend, I would give them homework to do during the weekend. They had to show me the following Monday. And we would draw simple things to start with. Especially, we started on cartoons. I had big old burly guys that had more tattoos on them than you got skin on your body. And here I got them in there, and I started them off doing teddy bears. We had to draw teddy bears.
Very good.
Yeah, a funny story is this one guy, he told me later on, he said, whenever you laid that teddy bear down there in front of me and you were going down the line, you were handing it in front of everybody. He said, I looked at your back and I said, man, you are so gay. He said, and then that teddy bear just kicked my butt, because what I did is I didn't teach him nothing. I said, okay, draw that teddy bear for me. And I said, you got a half an hour to do it. And it just kicked all of their butts. So I said, now let me show you how to do it. And I started doing layout and showing them how to do it. And they were doing them in 15 minutes and it looked just like what they were trying to draw.
Oh,
so
wow.
you had to start them at the bottom. If you didn't start at the bottom, you could never work up, So we started there, and then we started working through a lot of those pen and ink drawings like I showed you I did in my commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And I worked them through that. Whenever we worked a bunch of that, then I started working from photographs of wildlife. We worked through that. And then I started taking things into the prison, like I would take, 3 or 4 things like a shoe, and a hat and a little kid's toy and a ball. They'd just say those things. And I'd set them on a table and they'd have to sit all the way around so every person had a different view of it. And they were given 15 minutes to draw that from life. And then in 15 minutes, they had to get up and change chairs with somebody and start all over again and draw it again.
Wow.
And
Now,
that's what-
curious on these guys, the original class, how long were they able to stay with you before it all changed out?
Their classes generally lasted about 3 months, something like that.
Oh, okay. And that was every day?
And then we would renew a class. So I would sometimes I would have the same person for a year.
Oh,
And
okay.
and if the only way, like I say, you could get into the class is if one of them got paroled out, or he went to the hole, or he got changed to a different prison, then we would allow a new person to come in. And
Wow.
when it first started, they was all just so, standing back from you. And within a month of going there, you had a sign up list. So if you wanted to be in that class, just in case somebody left, you could be on the list. There was 100 people on the list in the first month.
Wow, I believe it.
And
Now,
those people that was in there became like heroes to everybody else.
wow, setting a
uh,
good example. This is a movie. Literally, have you thought of approaching it? Write the book first, and then, because they usually have books that they make movies from.
No, I never have. I would take these guys' artwork out and put them in state fairs and county fairs and stuff like that, local art festivals, whatever. And they would kick everybody's butt.
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
they have you. That's why.
well, they would come back and hear all these, I'm telling you, it really made me feel so good when I would hand a guy his painting back and it had a little red ribbon on it and he's got tears rolling down his face.
Maybe they never had anybody appreciate anything they did.
That's exactly it.
Is
That's
this from the
exactly,
same artist, or is this a different artist?
yeah, this kid here, he came from Vietnam. And I'll tell you, I have found that Orientals of all different of the Orientals, they're the best artists in the world, I think.
It's gorgeous.
And this kid here, this is only like his 4th painting in his life.
Wow.
But like I say, we had strong drawing beforehand.
Mhm.
All this is drawing, but you're drawing with a brush now. But if you don't have that drawing part, you can't do this.
Wow.
I had people in my classes through the community college. I taught through the community college for 17 years. And there was people that came into my class to start with that said, no, we don't want to get into drawing. We want to get into painting. I said, how do you do that? I mean, you got to be able to draw in order to paint. I'll tell you one story. I was teaching nothing but advanced painting at the time.
Mhm.
And there was a lady came to me. I thought she was old. She was 68. Anyway, she said, I've taken care of my family my whole life. I've taken care of my invalid husband for the last 18 years. He just died. I'm by myself. I want to do something for Emma.
Very
And she
good.
said, I want to get into your class. And I
Very
said, well, this class is pretty advanced because a lot of these people have been with me for a bunch of years
Mhm.
and we've gone a long ways up. I said, if I let a beginner in, I'd have to spend an awful lot of time with them, where it takes away from the other people and he wouldn't understand the terms even. She says, I wanted to learn so bad. I wanted to my entire life. She was so sweet. So I said, I'm a sucker. So she said, told her, I said, bring me some of your artwork. Let me see what it looked like. So the next time she came in here, she came in with this artwork. I looked at it and I went, oh my God, this is so awful. It was just terrible.
Oh dear.
But she wanted to so bad. And I just liked her so well. I let her in the class and I gave her a little extra on the side teaching her. She was with me for 10 years before
Oh
she
wow.
died. And I'm
Oh,
going to tell you, museums would have taken her work.
oh, that gives me chills.
When I would show her a technique, she would come back the next week and she would have 5 canvases there that she had used that technique on different things, showing that she had used the technique, not just it's a rose,
Mhm.
she was the best student I ever had.
Oh, that is so cool. I love to see you how you tell the story. Now, thank you for sharing that. I want to get back to this beautiful, gentle, fragile rose thing. If you notice, there's only 2 thorns on there at the top. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And they just added that little bit of pizzazz on there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it draws your eye so to all different parts. So
This kid was, that kid was only about 25 years old, maybe.
well, you've done something to change his life with the arts, definitely.
Yeah,
Let's talk about these 2.
okay, this cat, now this is one of the pencil drawings that came out of one of my students towards the end there. This is what they were able to do before we started painting.
Oh, okay. So they had to do these kind of pencil drawings.
There was this kind of quality out of almost every one of them before we started painting.
Wow.
And once we got to the point where we were going to start painting, I spent almost a week teaching them how to mix color. Because if you don't know how to mix colors, I mean, you're screwed. It's just one of those things. You have to know your color wheel and how to, if I've got a red on there, how do I deepen this red without making it muddy? Well, you know that you add green to it. It's learning how to work the color wheel to where you know how to mix your colors. And so at the end of that, then we started the paintings. Now the painting on the other side here, I bought that from this artist. That painting is 4 feet wide and 5 feet tall.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
I got lots of long stories on him. He's not with us anymore, but this was probably one of the finest artists I ever run into in prison. He could paint anything. I sat down with him, showing him how to paint a seascape. He was in Vacaville. And he was one of the guys who was in there for murder and so on. He was a bad one. He had mental problems. And I showed him how to do a seascape. When I came in the next day, he painted 2 seascapes that night.
Oh my gosh.
That's just the kind of person he was,
But you inspired him somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a certain personality to inspire these guys where they don't feel anything but acceptance and are taught,
And
so.
I'll tell you, in all the years that I was teaching in the prison, they were the best years I ever had for teaching, as far as I'm concerned.
Excellent.
And there wasn't 1 second in all those years that I ever felt like I was in problem. Not 1 second.
That is wonderful. Absolutely. Now this is a classic. Look at that.
Yeah.
Someone's
And this
happy.
kid here, he did all that in using the charcoal and graphite together, and just did a wonderful job. I mean, and this kid had no art whatsoever before he got in there. None.
Wow.
So you can just imagine how hard they tried. Whenever we was doing those art shows away and the guys were taking all the ribbons, you know what the locals said at the county fairs and stuff? We want to have a different category for inmate art.
No.
Rather than them stepping up and trying to compete and be as good as them, they said, they have all the time in the world to do artwork.
No.
Boy, that is as
Yeah.
far from the truth as
That's
you can
wrong.
imagine.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to compete. They just wanted to have a different category so they could get a ribbon too without pursuing it any further.
No, you got them working. You made them work, and that's what the result is right here. That's incredible. Now this is interesting. Did you
Yeah,
bring?
that's not a very good photo of it. That is so tight in the real thing you can imagine. This guy was one of the smartest people I ever met in my life. I mean, absolutely the smartest. Whenever you get into the real high up maths, where all it is a bunch of chicken scratch all over the place, this guy can read that stuff and just says, that all makes such perfect sense. It just makes perfect sense. And
Oh my gosh.
he paid for his own college while he was in there. And he got all the college degrees while he was in there. He did 15 years. He's a very good friend still to this day. He's been out for 20 years. He's never even had a parking ticket in 20 years.
Wow.
But we ended up doing, I asked him, I said, I want you to paint something you're really interested in. He said, fossils just really interest me. So we had him do fossils. He did about 12 or 13. Some of them are 48 inches wide.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's all different kinds of stone with different fossils and stuff in them. I'm going to tell you what, there's others that museums would take, but whenever he was in there, he took those home and his family wouldn't turn loose of those for $1 million.
Oh, I bet. I bet. What is the gold pellets or something around?
Yeah, this here is they're hooking it to a board that's behind it. That's
Oh, so
metal.
it's
It's
the hook.
metal things that just holding it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's interesting because it's not norm, it's not the norm I'm
Yeah.
painting. So that's excellent. That really is. What about this one?
This kid here is right now a really top end tattoo artist. And
Oh,
he's
really?
another one that didn't have any art at all. And now he's just in demand like crazy being a tattoo artist.
See what
He
you
did,
get?
I had a, he's been out for about 12 years, maybe something like that. And like I say, never had a problem in his life ever since. Does a great job. I had a really hard time with him in the painting. I couldn't keep him painting.
Mhm.
And I didn't find out until only about 5 years ago when we were talking. He's almost completely colorblind. And
Oh
he
my
hated
God.
to admit that to me. He didn't want to admit to me that he had a problem. But his pencil work was just amazing. This
Yeah.
right here, he found a photograph. This lady, she had just got the word from the government that her only son had just been killed in battle.
Oh, no.
And this was a picture of the son.
Oh, yeah.
So it has so much emotion. And I have that painting, I have this drawing here in my studio.
Mhm.
I love this thing. It's me, this is one of my treasures.
Oh, I bet. The more than just the picture.
Yeah, very good kid though, very good kid. So many of them were all in there on drug problems,
Mhm.
but they learned their lesson. And once they're out, they've done just great. And they have other things they can look at, I mean, like he's a really good tattoo guy and he loves to do drawing. He'd like to come back down and I've had him here many times, since he got out.
Very
He'd like to come down and start taking some painting classes from me again. So
There you go. That is so cool. I'm so proud of you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show your website really quick because I just want everybody to know how to find you. So let me bring it up real quick. This has been such a treasure. I mean, every week we get such wonderful talent and the fine art. Who would have thought? It's just incredible. So here's your website. So if you want to kind of talk me through it, just to point out a couple things on there, just tell me where to go.
yeah, whenever you get into the site, it's www.jessanderson.com.
Yeah, do you see it up here?
Yeah, no, it's not on there.
It isn't. Let me try it again. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up again because
Yeah, it won't be on there. You'll have to just spell it out. But after you come up to this, then just go to the artwork, and it's broken down into different categories.
Okay.
You've got wildlife art here.
Okay.
I've got Western art.
Okay.
I've got
Scroll down here.
landscapes. I mean, there's just all kinds of different things in here. They've got the waterscapes, the stuff that's in the private collections, some of my surrealistic things. In fact, I'm just about to start a new surrealistic painting.
Let's get a surrealistic view and see what that is. Oh, okay. There you go. The goats. Very good. So your definition of surrealistic, let's talk about that.
A surrealistic is painting something that is done realistic like, but in a non-realistic idea. I mean, you'd never see something like that.
Mhm.
For instance, like in the first painting here, I wanted to paint a canvas that's been torn up. I painted so many seascapes, but I saw this bamboo boat with a plant hanging out, hanging in a florist window. And I thought, man, that'd make a cool boat to hang over the top. So I painted it like it's hanging out in front of a painting. And then I taped this old postcard, which came on the cruise lines about 1920s.
Very
And
good.
so everything around that is done with a seascape, but you never see seagulls back and behind or anything like that, like the lilies here with the butterflies. I raised those lilies in my yard and I didn't want to just paint a bunch of flowers. That's not manly enough. So
You gotta get the rep in
butterflies make it more manly. So I painted like I tore my canvas. Now the butterflies are coming in from the real world into the painted world. So that's painted
Very
utopia.
good. Okay, very good. I get that. Here's this part about Jess. And this you can find all about his wonderful story. And we've heard it personally from him. And it's just a full, well-rounded of an incredible art and talent.
And right down at the bottom of that page right here that you're on, if they want to get on my email list, they just sign up right there in that white. And what I do is every time I finish a painting, I send it out to everybody that's on that list. And in it, it has from my pencil drawing, all the steps that go through all the way down to a finished painting.
Well, I'll do that. I'll put in 9atNIght, 9atNIght.com or at Gmail, no, 9atNIght show at Gmail. We can show everybody how to do this.
Yeah. Now, if you do that, that'll show up on my email here, and I'll put your name on the list. And what I will do is I'll start off with sending you 3 of my paintings. That's what I've been in the realm of doing. And I send 3 of my paintings with all those breakdowns. Whenever there was a podcast done on me down in from New Zealand, and because of that, I had people from like 20 different countries getting a hold of me here. So they all got on this list, and so many of them have been using this for their teaching down there. A lot of them were teachers.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So they said this really helped them in their teaching too. So that's kind of cool.
That is way cool. So what is, you have just automated alerts. What's an informed collector? What do you get if I check that? If I check that?
Well, that there comes from the website, and that will give you all other kind of artists.
Oh, okay. And what
And
about?
It'll give you ways to, it'll come up with somebody that said they're introduce this person. Here's one of their pictures. And if you want to go to their site, then you click on the bottom and it goes to their site.
Oh, well, that's pretty nice of you to do that.
Same thing with that right there. It gives you gives you people's shows and stuff like that. If there's art shows around and who's in the shows and what they're showing in them and so on like that. So
well, you're really helping share the wear, and so I'm going to click subscribe me, so you know that's from me then.
All right. Yeah, you'll go on that list.
Very, very good. So I am so happy that we had you on. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I'll tell you, it's been really great is your heart about caring about others for those that are forgotten and those that are behind bars, inmates in prisons and maximum prisons. And that's what you've done. And so that is absolutely incredible. And I respect you so much for it, but I think there should be a movie about this. I literally do.
I'm not sure the feds had wanted that coming in out of the prisons.
All right, you're right. You got to keep yourself protected. You're so right. Well, with that, Jess, I can't say thank you enough. Oh, what I want to do is I want to bring some buddies on that are here, and we're going to stop this for a minute. And so we did find our friend Rick Trilson. He finally got on with our friend Vince Crops. So very good. I'm going to put you guys over to promote to panelist. So you guys got to accept that. There you go. You're going over there. Listen, they were talking you guys through. And then I'm going to put you as a co-host so that you can show your picture if you are going to. So there we go. Let's see if you guys can pop on. And you need to mute yourself. I can see that you're still muted. But we got this far, guys. It's all, I can't do anything more. This is on you.
I don't think they want to be on there with us.
I'm sure they do. All we need to do, you just go to the lower part of the screen and find the mute button. There you go. It's in
Hey, Christine.
Hey, Rick.
I apologize. I didn't set my clock back.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you're forgiven.
I was in the studio.
So you're on Vince Croft's phone.
Yes. His was dead.
Oh, I called and it sounded like it was a dead answer. Okay. So I got it. So Rick, I can't say thank you enough for introducing me to Jess and Vince Crofts. So we had Vince Crofts on our last segment. It was absolutely phenomenal, incredible family story. And this week we have incredible Jess. I'll tell you, you got some friends in high places, Rick.
Well, I'm blessed to have some good friends, including you. And Vince and I did get to watch the show tonight, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it was. I can't wait to rewatch it too.
And I apologize for not being where I was supposed to be.
You're all right. I still showed a little bit of your song you wrote on your commercial with Star Studios and still talked you up. I said good things.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, we're at the close of this wonderful, wonderful hour with incredible friends, incredible people. Isn't that what it's all about? Good friends and having good conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what the whole world is about, you know?
Yeah.
Should
Hey,
be
Jess.
anyway. Hi, buddy.
Well, now you need a jam session and you have Jess singing.
Yes,
Vince is strumming or playing fiddle.
and you can play fiddle also.
I'll play anything. I play bass.
I know you do. Well,
Rick
this
does
is
love
really
a good
awesome.
jam session. But
What?
it was a
This
real
is-
honor to be on here. Real,
Oh,
I thank you a lot for listening.
Oh, you bet. I didn't, there's a lot of voices. I wasn't sure who said something. You know, Jess, thank you. It was very much so. So we're going to go ahead and close this out. All you gentlemen, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. Wonderful show. And there you go. I can't wait till next week, but I'm going to treasure the last 2 weeks and watch them over and over again. With that,
Thanks, Christine.
you bet. With that, I just want to point out, we have a little short commercial that we're going to play, and then we'll
Thank you.
all right, we have 9 at Night is 5 nights per week. As you can see, there's a different topic every night, incredible guests from all around the country. We just say tune in anytime. Just go to 9atNIght.com, scroll down on the front page and hit the Zoom box and you'll be live too. We also have all recorded programs that we have under podcast page. So thank you so much. You have an incredible week. We'll see you tomorrow night on our next It's All About the Money. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for coming in.
Thank you, kiddo. I really appreciate it.
You bet. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Good night.